So the first question is for Troy. What things should companies be aware of for ISO 27002 changes, and how will that impact ISO 27001 certification processes?
Yeah, my favorite subject. Let's start off with ISO. Yeah, so just before I get into the changes, it's a good reminder to know that when you're doing a certification audit for ISO 27001, the certification standard is actually 27001, and 27002 is the deep dive into the Annex A controls, like the implementation guidance, right? So what they updated in February 2022 was the new version of the 27002 standard. 27001 is still going to be the certification standard that organizations are getting audited against and getting certified against. But there's going to be some changes that they have to be aware of for 27002. Right now, the transition period is still being determined. 27002 was released in February of 2022, but they now have to go modify ISO 27001 and reference the new 27002 standard. I'm thinking that it's likely going to be 18 months to 2 years transition period for organizations to comply with the new 27001 standard when they start referencing the new 27002 standard, but that's still going to be determined in the next few months. But for now, it's good to be aware of just the high level changes. So one, they did categorize the controls into 4 categories now. I think it used to be, Tim probably knows better than me, I don't know, 14 or 15 before, but now it's categorized into 4: organizational, people, physical, and technological. So those controls are going to be categorized into that. And then they also added this concept of attributes in 27002. So each control has four attributes tied to it, or 5 attributes. One being control type. So is it a detective control, corrective control, preventative control? There's information security properties. So does it impact the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of the data? There are cybersecurity concepts that tie to the control. So is it a control for identifying, protecting, detecting, responding, or recovering, which is very similar to the NIST cybersecurity framework, if you're familiar with that. And then they have operational capabilities, which is very similar to the old old domains that I would call. So if it's a governance control, it would be under the governance operational capability. If it's a physical security control, it'll be under the physical security operational capability. And then the last one is security domains. These are just high-level domains: governance and ecosystem, risk management, IT security administration, and defense. So there's high-level information security domains that they also tied to these. Overall, they reduced the number of controls to 93. There's 11 new controls, 24 controls were merged together, and 58 of them were actually revised from the old version of 27002. So the biggest lift, in my opinion, is not necessarily implementing those 11 new controls. It's mostly a formatting thing for a lot of the certification bodies. I don't think it'll actually take that long to meet the new requirements of 27002. But they are probably going to give you 18 to 24 months to probably get those in place. So that's the good news. And that's really at a high level, unless Tim, you had anything to add there from those changes.
I think that, I mean, it's good because I think you asked how many domains there are. I don't know because I don't do a lot of ISO, but I think it's good that they've kind of categorized it into 4 different areas, like operational, because then it's easier for organizations to figure out who's going to be responsible for those kind of things. At the end of the day, we're kind of assigned responsibility. So that's kind of just my take on it. But I think it's a good update.